$25 an hour. That's what the app showed. That's what the ad promised. That's what 73 million Americans believed when they signed up. Here's what they actually took home after gas, depreciation, and tax. $7. $7 an hour. Below minimum wage in every state in America. From a company worth $40 billion. And the worst part? The app knew. It knew the whole time, and it showed you 25 anyway. In the next 15 minutes, I'm going to show you exactly how the platforms engineered that gap from $25 down to $7. The algorithmic tricks they used to hide it, what happened to the 73 million people who built these companies from nothing, and the 3 numbers every gig worker needs to know before they accept one more order. But before we get to the math, you need to understand the promise that was made at the very beginning, because that promise was always a lie, and it was designed that way from day one. It was called the gig economy, and when it launched, the pitch was genuinely revolutionary. Be your own boss, set your own hours, work as much or as little as you want, earn real money doing something simple. Uber launched in 2009, DoorDash launched in 2013, Amazon Flex launched in 2015, Instacart launched in 2012. Within a decade, they had collectively recruited 73 million Americans into what they called flexible work. The early days were genuinely good. Drivers in 2015 and 2016 reported gross earnings of $30 to $40 an hour. The platforms were subsidizing rides and deliveries with hundreds of millions in venture capital to build market share. They needed drivers desperately, so they paid well, but there was always a plan for what came next. A 2017 Uber internal document, later revealed in court proceedings, showed that Uber's long-term business model depended on 2 things: eliminating human drivers with autonomous vehicles, and in the meantime, reducing driver pay as market share grew and competition for alternatives decreased. In plain language, they recruited 73 million people into a business they were already planning to phase them out of. But the full picture of what happened next is darker than most people know. Therefore, let's follow the money, starting with the specific mechanism they used to cut your pay without ever sending you a memo. The single most important thing to understand about gig economy pay in 2026 is that no human being sets it. An algorithm does, and the algorithm has one objective: maximize platform profit, not driver income, platform profit. Here's how it works in practice. When you open the DoorDash app and see a delivery offer, the algorithm has already calculated the minimum amount you're likely to accept based on your historical acceptance patterns, your current location, the time of day, and how many other drivers are nearby. If you've been accepting orders at $11, the algorithm knows you'll probably accept 10, and it offers 10. This is called algorithmic wage discrimination. The Federal Trade Commission studied it in 2024 and found that 8 major gig platforms were using personal behavioral data to set individualized pay offers, meaning 2 drivers picking up from the same restaurant at the same time might receive completely different offers for the same delivery. The driver, who historically accepts lower offers, gets the lower offer every time. On the cost side, the platforms moved slowly. In 2015, Uber took roughly 20% of every fare as its commission. By 2023, that commission had risen to 30%. In some markets, in 2026, Uber takes as much as 42% of the passenger fare before the driver sees a dollar. The passenger pays more, the driver receives less. Uber keeps the difference. DoorDash operates the same model. Drivers report that the same delivery that paid $15 in 2021 now pays $11 or less, while DoorDash charges restaurants higher commission rates and charges customers higher delivery fees. But here's where it gets genuinely alarming. The number the app shows you, the gross earnings figure before expenses, is not your pay. Therefore, let's run the actual math that the platforms never show you. Let's take a typical DoorDash driver in a mid-sized American city in 2026. The app shows them earning $20 an hour gross. That sounds reasonable. Here is what the app does not show them. Fuel costs, approximately $3 to $5 per active driving hour at current gas prices. Vehicle depreciation. The IRS calculates the true cost of operating a vehicle at 72.5 cents per mile for business use in 2026. A driver covering 30 miles per hour of delivery work faces $21.75 in vehicle costs per hour that the app never mentions. Self-employment tax. Gig workers are classified as independent contractors, not employees. That means they pay both halves of Social Security and Medicare, 15.3% of net earnings that an employer would normally cover. Add it up, $20 gross, minus $4 in fuel, minus $7 in vehicle costs, minus 15% in self-employment tax on what remains. You are not taking home $20 an hour. According to data from over 500 drivers compiled by independent researchers in 2026. A DoorDash driver averaging $20 gross takes home between $7 and $13 per hour net. $7. In 37 states, that is below minimum wage. For rideshare drivers, the picture is similar. Uber and Lyft report gross earnings of $20 to $35 per hour during active driving time. But active driving time is not all their time. Drivers spend significant periods waiting for requests, driving to pick-up locations, and repositioning between rides. When researchers factor in total time, not just active time, real gross drops to $15 to $22. Real net, after expenses, $10 to $15 an hour. For a full-time gig worker, someone doing this 40 hours a week, annual net income runs between $18,700 and $22,900, below the federal poverty line for a family of 4. But some drivers are making it work. The platforms will tell you the problem is that drivers aren't being strategic enough. Therefore, let's look at what the platforms are actually doing to the workers who are doing everything right, because even the strategic ones are losing ground. Let's look at what happened to the platforms while drivers were earning less. In 2025, Uber reported its highest annual revenue in company history, $39.9 billion. DoorDash reported record revenue of $10.7 billion in 2025. Instacart's parent company, Maple Bear, reported gross transaction value growth of 8% year-over-year. Every platform was growing, every platform was profitable, and driver net pay was falling in real terms simultaneously. This is not a coincidence, it is a direct transfer. The efficiency gains that AI-powered routing, algorithmic dispatch, and surge pricing produced went to shareholders, not to drivers. Uber's stock price hit an all-time high in late 2024. The average Uber driver's net hourly pay fell by an estimated 11% in the same 12 months. One went up, one went down at the same time, and the regulatory environment has not helped drivers. The landmark California Proposition 22, which cemented gig workers' status as independent contractors rather than employees, denying them benefits, minimum wage protections, and the right to unionize, was backed by $625 million in platform spending. It passed. Similar legislation has since spread to other states. The platforms spent more on that single campaign than on driver pay improvements across their entire US network in the same year. But some states are fighting back. And there are 3 things every gig worker can do right now that the platforms specifically don't want you to know about. Therefore, let's close with what you can actually do. 3 things every gig worker needs to know before accepting one more order. 1. Calculate your real hourly rate before you start, not after. Use the IRS standard mileage rate of 72.5 cents per mile as your true cost baseline. If a delivery pays $12 and requires 20 miles of driving, that delivery costs you $14.50 in vehicle expenses. You lost $2.50 on that order. The platform made money, you didn't. 2. Understand the minimum order threshold before accepting anything. The drivers earning the most in 2026 use what's called the dollar per mile rule. Never accept an order paying less than $1.50 per mile, minimum. Below that number, after all expenses, you are paying the platform to let you work for them. 3. Track your tax obligations quarterly, not annually. As an independent contractor, you owe self-employment tax quarterly. Missing those payments means penalties on top of a tax bill that most gig workers don't budget for. Set aside 25% of net earnings from every single payment, not gross. Net. Uber's stock hit an all-time high last year. DoorDash reported record revenues. The platforms have never been more profitable, and the people who made them that way, 73 million of them, are netting as little as $7 an hour after expenses. That is not a side effect. That is the business model. The app showed you 25. It knew the number that would land in your account. It showed you the other one. If this changed how you read the next earnings estimate, the app shows you. Share it with someone who drives or delivers or freelances and has never run this math, which is most of them. We post every Wednesday. Subscribe if you want to know what's coming for your wallet next.